Okay, we're back live. Okay, on to the regular calendar. Item 1 is approval of minutes from prior meeting of June 1st, 2021. Do I have a motion to approve?
I will.
Second?
I will.
Voting, Councilmember Delory.
Yes.
Councilmember Mandel.
Yes.
Councilmember Treston.
Yes.
Vice President McGinnis.
Yes.
President Bendo.
Yes.
Okay, we're up to item number 5 on the calendar, resolution establishing base proportions in accordance with the provisions of Article 19 of the Real Property Tax Law.
Good evening, everybody. Mr. Flammer, our tax assessor, isn't here today, so sent me an email for the update on this. So adjusted base proportions, what is it? It limits the shift of taxes between the two classes of properties, homestead, residential, and non-homestead. The adjusted base proportions has to be revised every year to reflect relative changes in the market values and take into consideration any physical changes and other changes to assess values. State law requires a shift by default to be 5%, but with state's approval in the form of legislation, the council is authorized to limit that shift to about 1%. Every year this happens. It's happening later and later, and this year I believe the legislation by the state was passed on July 1st. Simplistically, the adjusted base proportions cuts the tax pie into 2 parts and prevents any drastic shifts between residential and commercial tax rates. This year it's not exactly 1% due to the calculation taking into consideration changes in assessed value like new construction, exempt changes, and court reductions. But once approved by the council, the certified calculations are sent to the State Department of Tax and Finance and the Office of Real Property Tax Services for their review and approval. Just for, I guess, illustrative purposes, if the council were not to approve this legislation, next year's calculation would be based on the 5% adjusted base proportion from this year. This results in a higher shift towards non-homestead properties in this instance. Current 2021-22 tax increase was 4.87% for homestead and 10.71% for non-homestead. So if we didn't use this 1% calculation, the tax rate changes would have been 3.43% for homestead and 15.05% for non-homestead. And that's the long and short of it.
All right, I guess it's just important to note this comes from the state. This is something the state gives us that we have to follow. So with that, we vote on this every year, but any questions from the council? All right, any from the public? All right, Mr. Lester.
Good evening, Roy Lester, Long Beach. Every year we vote on this. Every year I ask that we put in what it was, what the change is. Why can't we do that?
He just told you what the change was.
No, he doesn't. What was the homestead base proportion last year?
Oh,
right now
last
it's
year?
0.74042721. What was it last year? That's all I'm asking. We want to see what the change is.
I don't have that in front of me.
Okay. Well, next week or 2 weeks from now? Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? All right, seeing none, let's move on to item 6.
Item 6 is a resolution authorizing the city manager to issue a purchase order for supply, transport, and delivery of concrete from the lowest responsible bidder.
I'm going to guess that's Mr. Fabrizio.
Good evening, everyone. Yes, this is a resolution authorizing the city manager to enter into an agreement with Universal Ready Mix to supply, transport, and deliver concrete. Bids were received in the Office of Purchasing on Thursday, June 17, 2021 at 11 a.m. There were 2 bids received. One was Universal Ready Mix, and the other was Elm Transit Mix. Universal Ready Mix was the lowest responsible bidder. The Street Maintenance Department utilizes concrete to pour curbs, sidewalks, undertake trench restoration within the city. Funding is available in the operating line of street maintenance. Just for your little background, we spend about $120,000 annually on this contract, and I recommend awarding the bid to Universal Ready Mix. Thank you.
How do these prices compare to what we currently pay?
Let me see, actually. I don't have the current rate in front of me. I just have the proposed rate, which is $85 per cubic yard for universal ready mix, and Elm Transit mix is $125 a cubic yard. So Elm is significantly higher than the proposed price for universal.
Okay.
But 85, they have different types of concrete that they're pricing in this bid. They have 3,500 PSI concrete, which is $85 a cubic yard. Nassau County Class A concrete, which is $96 a yard. New York State calcium chloride concrete for $108 a cubic yard. Winter concrete for $7 a yard. Short load, which is $100, and concrete accelerator, which is $10. So these are all essentially lower than Elm in this bid. I don't have the current prices, unfortunately, in front of me. I apologize.
Any questions from the council? All right. Any questions from the public? Mr. Lester.
I'm trying to figure out what the short load, the $100 per cubic yard is for. What kind of concrete is that, the short loads?
I think it doesn't matter what type of concrete it is.
So if we're paying I'm sorry.
It doesn't matter what type of concrete it is if it's a short load of what you're requesting. Like if you say you request 3,500 Nassau County Class A concrete and you request, instead of a 10-yard load, like a 3-yard load, you would pay the short charge. If you ask for,
You pay 100 additional per.
right, like for some reason, if I wanted, not that they probably don't do this very often, but if you wanted to pour like a very small area of curb, or maybe like a sidewalk ramp, or if you wanted to just do a very short, a small pour, like 1 yard, again, which isn't common, they do charge you for that.
They charge you $100 extra, so
Yeah.
$5 for.
Yeah. It's a,
185.
so again, it's not a common practice. It's not something you, right, yeah, you don't want to do that.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome.
All right. Any other questions from the public? All right. Seeing none, let's move on to item 7, which is going to be Joe again, I bet.
Item 7 is a resolution authorizing the city manager to enter into an agreement for engineering services to prepare a water resource plan related to potential saltwater intrusion into the city's water supply.
Yes, this is a resolution authorizing the city manager to enter into an agreement to perform a saltwater intrusion study. On November 20th, 2020, we received 4 proposals to prepare a saltwater intrusion study. We had a 6-member committee evaluate the proposals. During the evaluation, cost is not considered. The cost proposal is provided in a separate sealed envelope. After all committee members have graded the proposals, the results are summarized, and we meet to open the cost proposals. In this case, PW Grosser Consulting was the highest rated proposal at the lowest cost of $79,020. The other 3 consultants, the prices range from $93,700 to $147,530, so they were the lowest by far. While chloride levels are well below standards, just for an example, the limit is 250 milligrams per liter. We find less than 10 milligrams per liter in our water. In the city, the study is important to prepare in the event we see a rise in chloride levels due to saltwater intrusion. The work's going to include data collection, review existing groundwater models related to the Lloyd Aquifer on the Barry Island. They're going to review City of Long Beach data related to pumping trends and chlorides. We're going to review past and current hydrogeological studies pertaining to the Barry Island. We're going to provide an opinion. They're going to provide an opinion on likely timing of existing water supply wells being impacted by saltwater. They're going to develop options for meeting water needs in the event of saltwater intrusion. And they're going to prepare a cost analysis for those options. And last but not least, they're going to prepare a report on their findings. We have funding designated in the capital budget for this. I believe there's about $300,000 in the capital budget. So the money is there, and therefore I recommend awarding this contract to PW Grosser Consulting in the amount of $79,020. Thank you.
Okay, so you just touched on the question I was going to ask. In the 2018-19 capital plan, that included, which was approved, that included $300,000 for the saltwater intrusion model and
Correct.
study. So this is the first thing we're doing from the 18-19 capital plan?
Correct. So it's interesting, I met with Donna and Ina about this issue, and again, it's a couple $100,000 less than was actually budgeted and borrowed for. So this was authorized and borrowed, and we've been paying interest on that money since, I think you said it correctly, 2018. So this is an example of what Donna and myself and Ina have been working on, paying interest on things that are sitting, and we're trying to.
I think a zoning study was on that was taken off the back.
Okay, so we borrowed the money, but we never actually did the work.
Right, so you're basically, in this case, you're paying interest on that money since it was borrowed. So it was, now what we do, like we work, Ina and Donna and I work very closely. While the money is authorized, it will not be borrowed until we're actually ready to undertake the project. And I think that's something, at least that I observed, going through the process, it was not done in the past. Like they would just authorize and they would automatically bond for whatever was in the capital plan without actually planning on the work. So it's something that, I'm very conscious of, and Ina's very conscious of, and I know Don is extremely conscious of. Yeah, but that's exactly what you said is correct. That money was authorized and borrowed like 3 years ago.
Joe, is there any other coordination that you can do with the state and/or the federal government, such as the U.S. is it the Geological Survey or other administrative organizations that could also assist us in terms of this analysis, because it's an aquifer for not just us.
Yeah, I think they use a lot of the groundwater modeling that's existing to assist them in the study, because there's not a lot of information out there on the freshwater saltwater interface.
Right.
It's a big question mark like that we don't know.
So can we coordinate with like Schumer's office or other folks to
Yeah,
make sure
sure,
that they
yeah.
either get a copy of it or are involved
Yeah,
as
absolutely.
stakeholders?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Commissioner, does the annual water quality report indicate any possible precursors to a saltwater intrusion?
No, there's no indication in the annual water quality report, so I don't want to alarm anybody.
Yeah.
There's no indication. Our levels I mentioned were, the limit is 250 milligrams per liter. We're less than 10, so we're fine. But it's a concern. I mean, it's a big concern. So I think we're being proactive by doing this study, absolutely, which I think is important instead of reactive. And
And if this is awarded tonight, what's the time frame?
probably
Target
within 6
dates?
months.
6 months?
Yeah, might be shorter.
No, just thank you, Joe, Ina, and Donna for
You're welcome.
making sure we're not wasting money.
Excuse me?
Number 8 is a resolution authorizing the city manager to purchase towels, tissues from the lowest responsible bidders.
Yes, this is a resolution authorizing the city, as Dave said, city manager to enter into an agreement to purchase toilet paper, facial tissues, and paper towels from the lowest responsible bidders in this case. Bids were received in the Office of Purchasing on Thursday, July 15, 2021 at 11 a.m. There were basically 8 products that were incorporated in the bid. So the low bidder for the paper towels, that's one of the products, was APCO Paper and Plastic. The low bidder for 6 of the other products, which was basically toilet paper, was United States Sales USA Corp. And the low bidder for facial tissue was JF Supply. So basically we're awarding the contract to the company with the lowest respective price for each product. So she separated it out, so you're giving the bid to the 3 different vendors, 8 products to 3 different vendors. And just so you know, no, I have the spreadsheet actually here that has all the prices in it. Just to give you an example. So for APCO, which is they're getting one of the products, it's 2-ply rolled paper towels or equal, and it's $15.97 per case, it looks like. Okay, and then that's kind of how the whole bid is structured apparently. And just so you get an idea, we spend about $19,000 on this annually. So from what I understand from talking to our purchasing agent, as we were just about on the threshold. They previously were getting quotes every 6 months instead of putting a bid together. So I think at Donna's suggestion, they put a bid together, and it does look like there is a savings there is a significant savings because they went out to bid as opposed to getting quotes every 6 months.
And this is for citywide, right? So this is
Yeah, this is citywide, yeah, exactly, so, yes, correct. And I have the spreadsheet here that shows all the different prices for the different.
Any questions from the council? All right, any from the public? Seeing none, let's move on to item 9.
Item 9 is a resolution authorizing transfer of funds for the 2021-22 fiscal year.
Good evening. Good evening again. And this item is the transfer of funds from the regular salary line item from one department to another. And this is basically to realign the human capital capacity that we have between where we have it and where we need it. Do you have any questions?
So what she's saying is that the person that was in the building department moved to corporation counsel, so we're moving her salary from the building department to corporation counsel. I was just making sure the public understood. We're
Thank
just
you.
moving the money where the person is working.
Any questions from the council? Any from the public?
I'm just not sure. Is this another corporate counsel? Is this an attorney or a secretary or?
No, it's not an attorney. It's
just-
administrative support staff.
It's what?
Administrative.
Administrative staff, oh, but to the building department? From the building department?
From the building department going to corporation counsel. So it's not a new hire, we're just
No,
moving a person.
I
We're just
understand
moving
that,
a
but-
person from one department to help out in another department.
Because we were short-staffed?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other questions? All right, seeing none, let's move on to item 10.
Item 10 is also a resolution authorizing transfer of funds for the 2021-22 fiscal year.
Okay, this transfer requires actually transfer of funds from the contingency reserves to the Youth and Family Services special programs. That's to accommodate the Summer K Day Trippers program. Request for to fund these day trips was not in the regional budget, and actually trips are planned for the summer, and the manager of the department asked us to transfer funds from the contingency to the Youth and Family Services line.
Okay, any questions from the council? Any questions from the public? All right, seeing none, let's move on to item 11.
Item 11 is authorizing publication of a notice of public hearing of an application to waive off-street parking requirements for premise 54 West Park Avenue, second floor, for a tattoo studio. This item is for publication only, and a hearing will be held August 3rd at 7 p.m. Item 12 is a resolution authorizing publication for hearing of an ordinance to amend the Code of Ordinances of the City of Long Beach regarding Ocean Beach Park. This item is for publication only, and a hearing will be held August 3rd at 7 p.m. Item 13 is a resolution authorizing publication for hearing of an ordinance to amend the Code of Ordinances of the City of Long Beach regarding motor vehicles and traffic. This item is for publication only, and a hearing will be held August 3rd at 7 p.m. On to the voting portion.
Dave, before you go on, because it's, the public hearing is going to be August 3rd, did we say we're going to have a meeting outside? Yes. So is that going to, we're going to have a public hearing outside?
I don't know the logistics of that.
Yeah. Okay. Yes.
Okay, on to the voting. Item 5 is a resolution establishing base proportions in accordance with the provisions of Article 19 of the Real Property Tax Law. Who introduce and move the adoption of this item? Anyone?
I will.
Second? Voting, Councilmember Delory.
Yes.
Councilmember Mandel.
Yes.
Councilmember Treston.
Yes.
Vice President McGinnis.
Yes.
President Bendo.
Yes.
Item 6 is a resolution authorizing the city manager to issue a purchase order for the supply, transport, and delivery of concrete from the lowest responsible bidder. Would you just move the adoption of this item?
I will.
Second?
I will.
Voting, Councilmember Delory.
Yes.
Councilmember Mandel.
Yes.
Councilmember Treston.
Yes.
Vice President McGinnis.
Yes.
President Bendo.
Yes.
Item 7 is a resolution authorizing the city manager to enter into an agreement for engineering services to prepare a water resource plan related to potential saltwater intrusion into the city's water supply. Would you just move the adoption of this item?
I will.
Second?
I will.
Voting, Councilmember Delory.
Yes.
Councilmember Mandel.
Yes.
Councilmember Treston.
Yes.
Vice President McGinnis.
Yes.
President Bendo.
Yes.
Item 8 is a resolution authorizing the city manager to purchase towels and tissues from the lowest responsible bidders. Would you just move the adoption of this item?
I will.
Second? Voting, Councilmember Delory.
Yes.
Councilmember Mandel.
Yes.
Councilmember Treston.
Yes.
Vice President McGinnis.
Yes.
President Bendo.
Yes.
Item 9 is a resolution authorizing transfer of funds for the 2021-22 fiscal year. Would you just move the adoption of this item?
I will.
Second?
I will.
Voting, Councilmember Delory.
Yes.
Councilmember Mandel.
Yes.
Councilmember Treston.
Yes.
Vice President McGinnis.
Yes.
President Bendo.
Yes.
Item 10 is a resolution authorizing transfer of funds for the 2021-22 fiscal year. Would you just move the adoption of this item?
I will.
Second?
I will.
Voting, Councilmember Delory.
Yes.
Councilmember Mandel.
Yes.
Councilmember Treston.
Yes.
Vice President McGinnis.
Yes.
President Bendo.
Yes.
Item 11 is a resolution authorizing publication of a notice of public hearing of an application to waive off-street parking requirements for premise 54 West Park Avenue, second floor for a tattoo studio. Would you just move the adoption of this item?
I will.
Second?
I will.
Voting, Councilmember Delory.
Yes.
Councilmember Mandel.
Yes.
Councilmember Treston.
Yes.
Vice President McGinnis.
Yes.
President Bendo.
Yes.
Item 12 is a resolution authorizing publication for hearing of an ordinance to amend the Code of Ordinances of the City of Long Beach regarding Ocean Beach Park. Would you just move the adoption of this item?
I will.
Second?
I will.
Voting, Councilmember Delory.
Yes.
Councilmember Mandel.
Yes.
Councilmember Treston.
Yes.
Vice President McGinnis.
Yes.
President Bendo.
Yes.
And finally, item 13 is a resolution authorizing publication for hearing of an ordinance to amend the Code of Ordinances of the City of Long Beach regarding motor vehicles and traffic. Would you just move the adoption of this item?
I will.
Second?
I-
Voting, Councilmember Delory.
Yes.
Councilmember Mandel.
Yes.
Councilmember Treston.
Yes.
Vice President McGinnis.
Yes.
President Bendo.
Yes.
Who will make a motion to close the meeting?
I will.
Second?
I will.
Voting, Councilmember Delory.
Yes.
Councilmember Mandel.
Yes.
Councilmember Treston.
Yes.
Vice President McGinnis.
Yes.
President Bendo.
Yes.
While, while Dave is getting the papers, I just want to announce the City of Long Beach Beautiful Curb Appeal Contest. So we're looking for your homes within the city. Take a picture of the, and send your photo to lbevents@longbeachny.gov. Include your name, your address, and your email. And this is a contest that's a way for the city to recognize the residents whose properties reflect their community pride and their ability to beautify the city one block at a time. Your photos will be submitted on social media, and finalists will be posted on the website and the city's Facebook page by August 17th. There's going to be prizes and bragging rights with a lawn sign. So for more details, again, go to longbeachny.gov/beautification. Thank you.
All right, so I think most people know the drill, but 3 minutes for comments, and first up is Brian Wells.
Good evening, Brian Wells, Long Beach PBA. I just want to address the comments that were read concerning my organization tonight and last week. You said, regrettably, the Long Beach PBA attacked Commissioner Walsh during the police commissioner's search process, and from the moment he began his new position in February. That's simply not true. We never attacked him during the very public police commissioner search process, and we did not attack him when he first took office. In fact, I reached out, we met, we had many conversations, and we talked a lot. We didn't attack him in February, we didn't attack him in March. In fact, I invited him to a monthly meeting of the PBA membership. To my knowledge, that's never happened before. Ma'am, you were there as well. And I just think that that is a statement that should be retracted. We have since had some very public disagreements, but those are about policies, directives, procedures, conduct, and collective bargaining matters. So I don't know what you're basing that statement on, but it's just simply inaccurate. Maybe there's some confusion over the timeline of how these events occurred, but it's simply not true. Unless anyone can give me a specific example of when I attacked the police commissioner during the search process. All right, well, thank you, and anytime anyone wants to engage me in a positive manner, you guys all have my number, you know where to find me. I'd be happy to speak with anybody, anytime. I've been pretty accommodating.
Thank you. Roy Lester.
Good evening, Roy Lester. Very sobering presentation today by CMA.
Roy, can you just look
Could you repeat that, Roy?
Sure. Very sobering presentation today by CMA. And yes, there's a lot of work to be done. But on June 15th, I came up here and I asked about the contracts we had entered into with M3 and the attorneys. And Donna, you said in July we're going to have a presentation by M3 regarding what they've done. You said you were meeting with them on Thursday, and since that time I haven't heard anything. I know that our contract expired with them, I think it was May 30th, and I believe we have not gotten the money from the state. We still owe them. I don't know if they're continuing to bill us. You basically said, Donna, that they've said that they're not going to hurt us, so to speak, and you're going to watch over that. But I think we as the public would like to know what's going on. That's, it's a lot of money involved. It's a big issue for us. And, I'm hoping they solve things, but we're kept in the dark completely. I just want to get my things out. Also, I asked you about the bike program. You said that there's a possibility it'll be up this summer. I've never heard anything past that. I understand you probably had to vet them or something. They're a Southampton company, but I don't know where that is, and the summer's moving on pretty quickly. So, the work session that you had last Thursday about the public, the workforce housing and the affordable housing, there were a lot of tax credits that go into that. Are any of those tax credits coming from the city? That was another question. And finally, you mentioned that the Housing Authority is donating for National Night Out. I did not know an authority had the authority or the ability to make donations outside of their scope. So if I could just get an answer to those things.
Okay, so let me go to the bike program. I talked today to the staff about the bike program. We had one vendor that responded to the RFP. They're also the same vendor that responded to the RFP for the county. And right now, there's a shortage on bikes. And so we're at a standstill till they figure out if they can help Nassau County and us, or it might not happen till next year, since there is a shortage on bikes, as there is a shortage on a lot of other things. The tax credits, the purpose of the affordable housing conversation was not about tax credits or anything like that. It was, the purpose was to inform the board what a RAD was. That the tax credits, the low-income housing tax credits, do not come from the city.
Okay, that was the
Yeah,
only
that's not
question.
the city.
Good,
Those
good.
are, that's an organization, people bid on those.
Okay.
And then the developer will take the tax credits to the bank. That is not something that comes from the city at all.
Glad to hear that.
About the Haberman case, we still meet both 2 to 3 times a week. We will present
I'm sorry, you meet with who?
O'Melveny
Oh, okay,
and M3.
okay.
We are asking M3 as well that, yes, their contract is up, but they are working with us. But right now, we're doing more work with O'Melveny, who, although their contract was for a period of time, it also was for $750,000. They haven't reached the $750,000. We are now still working together, all of us, including CMA, to come up with ideas and things to move forward. When we get to that point, we will then discuss it with the council and then make it public. But we're not ready to make it public because, as you heard at the last meeting, we did have the initial meeting with the Haberman attorneys. So as soon as we are ready, we will make it. We don't want to come and give hopes or tell people things that are completely wrong.
No, but what you told us just now gives us information.
Yeah,
You know, that's all we're looking for,
okay.
you know, what's
And what was
going
your
on.
last thing?
The Housing Authority.
I have to check that out.
That's
I'm
not our
Yeah, that's,
Yeah, I don't know.
that's not us.
Yeah.
housing.
Well, it
authority.
is part of the city.
No, it's not.
No, it's not.
No, it's not.
We appoint, she
You-
appoints the commissioners, but it's a separate entity from the city.
Absolutely.
They have their own budget, it's federally funded, so
Right.
if they can or they can't.
You don't know if they can or
That's
can't.
No.
not our.
That-
Rich,
that-
do you
that's
know?
some- Yeah.
Yeah. All right, thank you.
Uh-huh.
Jay Gussler.
Within the town.
Okay. Eileen Hessian.
Eileen Hessian, Long Beach. I had 4 questions, but I'm limiting myself to one because it's been a long night. The boardwalk is becoming unscrewed, and there's a lot of places that people can trip because the screws are coming out. I'm on there every day, and I see more and more of them, and I thought one way to find out where they are so they can be fixed is to ask the specials to somehow mark them or mark where they are located so that they can be fixed, because we have been sued in the past by people who have fallen on those, tripped on them. So that's all. Please do that. Thank you.
Thank you, Eileen.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And Sam Pinto. All right, then that's it. Thanks for joining us, folks, and we will see you.
Another PSA. Please throw your mask in the garbage. The smartest dog in the world ate one.
Next time you
Thanks,
have a budget
Joe.
item that has 2-ply toilet paper, I want more enthusiasm. I was gonna go, I vote yes to the 2-ply.